Hello everyone and welcome back guys to the finale of my F1 1980s career mode guys. We're here today for the Portuguese Grand Prix, but first of all I'd like to thank all for the support over the course of this season. It's always nice when you get to the end of the season to sort of look back, and overall it has been a very enjoyable series, something that I hope you guys can look back on in future months. But you can see into towards the final round of the season, Nigel Mansell has been able to wrap up the World Championship, and we have a 6-point lead over Michael Schumacher here, obviously the now 7 times Formula 1 World Champion. So we're going to hope tonight that we can try and beat him at Estoril. Now this obviously is a track that I don't even know if this track exists anymore, to be honest with you. Personally, it's actually a track that I'm a huge fan of on this game. It is so enjoyable to drive around here, especially in these classic cars. But yeah, we've got 18 laps of this Estoril circuit today. We're starting all the way down in P8 there, qualifying certainly in the last few rounds. Has probably not been this car's strong point in terms of the setup though. Obviously we're going to make everything a little bit more flexible here. Going to make the ride height a little bit lower. Really going to obviously want to try and run this car a little bit aggressive. Shorten out the gearbox, as I've said a couple of times before. The gears are a bit funny on this game. They don't actually, if you max them out, you don't ever get anywhere close to your overall speed there. So we're going to leave it with a theoretical 189 miles an hour top speed here. But yeah, we're ready for the final round of the season. All we need to do is either, if Michael Schumacher wins, then he gets P2 overall. All we therefore need to do, unless he wins, we just need to finish behind him in this race, either like right behind him or potentially lower down a couple of positions back. And it has not been made any easier for myself. Unfortunately, Michael Schumacher does start on pole for the final round of the season. As I said, I'm all the way down in P8 here for this Portuguese Grand Prix. We've got Mario Andretti just alongside me here, but for one final time in this 1980s career mode, it is 10 red lights and it's lights out, and away we go here. Listen once more to those glorious engines rise. Prost and I think that's Alan Jones, sorry, behind me, don't get off to the best starts, but down in towards T1 here. We're going to have to play a little bit cautious there. Prost sends one down the inside there. Very aggressive, was really surprised by that. Jones able to file through as well, but through turn 2, the lack of downforce on that fly Saudi Williams really struggling there. An absolute car park through turn 3 there, and look at Michael Schumacher. He's all the way down to P5 in this Grand Prix there, so no idea what has happened to him there off the start of that Grand Prix, but that's certainly not been the start he would have wanted there. We move around the outside of Gerhard Berger there, up into P7 of the Grand Prix, so even though we were last going through turn 2 there, we've now moved all the way back up into 7th place of this race here, and hopefully we can try and continue to move all the way up through this field here. Again, a bit better drive than Fittipaldi there on the exit of that corner. And now we move up into P6 of this Grand Prix, all over the back of Michael Schumacher here, and one lap later going to move past him, our championship rival there. That is absolutely perfect for me. Down into P6 he goes of this Grand Prix here, and if he was to finish P6, I think we'd only need P9 if I'm not mistaken there. Yeah, we'd only need 2 points from this Grand Prix. No, we could finish P10, obviously, depending on how many race victories we've had relative to him there. I think, we prefer P9 just to make sure we've definitely got it on the count like that. But through the final corner of this lap, such a fun little corner to take. So many alternate lines you could take, but now really trying to look towards the back of Mario Andretti there. But just watch him absolutely pull away down this front straight there. That Renault? That Lotus running so much pressure on the turbo there. It's actually ridiculous down the straights there. He flies past Hill as we go through the first couple of corners there. But there's been a huge crash behind me there. What has happened to the Ferrari cars, as well as I think that was Fittipaldi there? That has been an absolutely monster of a shunt there. I don't think, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get the best view of that there. But as we come through turn 1 and turn 2, you can just see, and unfortunately we don't get to see what happens to the first Ferrari there, but that is both Ferraris in the wall there. I go in the wall as well, completely, sort of took back by what's just happened there. But that was an absolute monster crash between those 3 drivers there. But now, by lap 5 of the Grand Prix, the first pit stops were being made. I think that was Nigel Mansell, actually, obviously, the new world champion, making his first pit stop of the day here. It's looking most likely that it's going to be a 2-stop Grand Prix there, but wasting no time behind Damon Hill there. See, now up into P2 of this Grand Prix with my teammate Hakkinen leading the race. We've actually got a 1-2 for the Lotus Team 100T team here. So that has been an absolutely, so far this Grand Prix, it's been absolutely incredible for ourselves. So on to the end of a lap 7 though, we're finally going to dive into the pits. Really trying to stretch this first in as long as possible. They're scraping the wall on the way in. Probably not the optimal line, I won't lie, but yeah, we still made it in overall nice and safely here. But now in towards our pit box we go here, hoping we get off to a nice clean pit stop there. One last time we were able to see all that going on, and the 5.8-second pit stop isn't too bad overall here. It could be very, very tight between myself and Mika Hakkinen here as we come out of the pit lane, and we are now going to move up into P2 of the Grand Prix there. If I'm not mistaken, Mika did sort of get held up in his pit stops there, so now up into P2 of the Grand Prix. This has been absolutely fantastic for myself, able to undercut both my teammate and Hiller. Obviously we just about able to get ahead of him beforehand, but you know, still the undercut still definitely could have been on his side there. Make a little bit of a mistake though, so you know this race is certainly not over yet. But the main thing now for me was that I really wanted to catch up to Nigel Mansell here. Lap 9, he dives in for his second and final pit stop of the Grand Prix to really try and take those prime tyres right through to the very end of this race here. But we're going to try and go stretch this prime stint, you know, a couple more laps, then go on the options right towards the end of this Grand Prix. So hopefully we're a little bit quicker right when it matters the absolute most here. But Michael Schumacher now back up into P2 there, so just, you know, a little friendly reminder from him. If we do make a mistake, he is still ready to pounce. But yeah, from now, sort of over these next couple of laps, though, the most important thing was getting our head down, getting the laps in here, setting fastest lap of the Grand Prix in a 1:14.1 on the end of lap 11 there. So, you know, still the pace was certainly with us in this Grand Prix. And I honestly found these primes seem to, you know, in hindsight, actually were graining probably a bit better than the option tyres in this race. You see, once again, even quicker there with a 13.7. That is certainly a very quick lap, if I do say so myself. And now almost, you know, just getting myself ready for our second pit stop of this Grand Prix, hoping, you know, we can try and get a whole lot closer to Nigel Mansell. You know, he's had this season all his way really, and I just wanted to, you know, give him one final upset. You know, if we ever come back to this game, you know, we can come in with the confidence there. Into the pits we go. They're making a huge mistake there, unfortunately getting a bit reset as well, which is going to cost me just a little bit of time in this race as well. But Mansell through the final sector he goes. Only one actual corner in the final sector of this lap there, so not really too much. You know, he's not really that far behind me here. Second pit stop of the day. It's going to be a 5.8, almost identical if I'm not mistaken, to the first pit stop of the day there. But Mansell flies past me, holds on to the lead of the Grand Prix for now. And now we've just got 3-4 laps to try and close back down. You know, not too big a gap at the moment, but obviously Mansell, he's got his tyres at a state where he's happy. He's obviously got the momentum at this moment in time, so we really need to push to try and close up to him in these last couple of laps of this Grand Prix here. See, skipping on to lap 17 of the race, we were getting so much closer to him down this long front straight here, but the downforce, you know, obviously being in that dirty air, and these cars generate so much dirty air, you know, far less streamlined than the Formula 1 cars we're used to today. You can see, not really able to gain too much down this long front straight and then through turn 1. Unfortunately, just losing so much momentum to Nigel Mansell here. But really just hoping, you know, that we can try and close down any sort of momentum than we possibly can. And just 2 laps to go of this Grand Prix. We're going to move in to the final lap of this F1 1980s career mode. Obviously, the second season that we've done with the classic cars is maybe the final time we get to see these cars on my channel here. But so close to Nigel Mansell as we come in towards turn 1 there. And then, unfortunately, as I said, the dirty air really does just kick in. That Williams is so stable through the high-speed corners there, you know, completely unmatched. But in towards the braking of turn 3, they just closes up so much. But Mansell has done absolutely everything he's needed to in these final couple of laps. You know, he's just pinpointed his braking, you know, closed on those apexes as much as possible, and he seems to be doing just about enough at this moment in time. We really need a mistake from Nigel Mansell in these last couple of laps of the Grand Prix here, through in towards sector 2 here, and Mansell making a little bit of a mistake there. I get almost put off by it as I accidentally nudge on the brakes as well there. As you know, it's just one of those things where I thought, what is he doing? And unfortunately just sort of caught myself napping as well there a bit. But in towards the final sector of this F1 1980s career mode here, what can we do to try and close up the gap to Nigel Mansell here? In towards the final braking zone, contact there made between the turbos, one final corner to go of this season. Going to use the grass on the inside, trying to give myself the shortest run. Short shifting out, engaging that turbo as we come out of the final corner down towards the line. It's side by side between myself and Mansell, and we have come through to win the final Grand Prix of the season there. That was a crazy finish of that Grand Prix. I can't believe, you know, that was as close as it really was there. That, well, 0.034 of a second, as you can see, on your screens there. Absolutely insane final couple of laps to that Grand Prix. We were just closing down the gap. Mansell just appeared to be doing absolutely everything right there, but we short shifted at a 5th into 6th gear there. Got that turbo, spooled up nice and early there. 3.5 bar as we come down the front straight there. Unfortunately for me, it was just enough to be able to sneak alongside him there. Potentially, if he'd sort of held his line, sort of there, didn't give me so much room, then perhaps, without that weave, he could have been able to win the Grand Prix there. But we have won the final race of this season, almost the end of an era, if you will. I don't know if I'm ever going to return back to this F1 2013 Classic Cars games. But yeah, 2 frames we won that race by in the end. So certainly, I think, well, by far the closest race I think we've had overall this season. And what a way to finish off there. A really nice send-off from these classic Formula 1 games. Obviously, that does mean that we are able to inherit P2 in the driver's standings there. Michael Schumacher all the way down in P6 there. Did certainly not have the best result for him in that final race of the season. If I'm not mistaken, even if we only finished 10th, we still would have been able to get that P2 overall there. You can see, though, even if we had another race, so Nigel Mansell's still done absolutely everything he needed to win the championship. Michael Schumacher now 23 points back, but obviously it makes no difference at the end of the day there. Mika Hakkinen doing very, very well to get all the way up into P4 by the end of the season there. A pretty good job by him, able to jump Damon Hill in that result there. With Fittipaldi in P6, Berger in P7 there. And having a look at the constructors' standings, we come through for P2, so runner-up in both the drivers and the constructors' standings there. Ferrari in P3 with the Lotus 98T in P4 and the Williams FW07B all the way down in P5. There, unfortunately, not really much of a match for the rest of the teams in this series. But thank you all so much for watching the series. It's been such an enjoyable one to make once again. I really do love these classic cars, and something a little bit different, although obviously the editing isn't as high on these races as well. But yeah, hopefully, as I said, you guys have enjoyed. Thank you all as well for 3,500 subscribers. We hit that, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of days back now, and we're already well on our way to 3,600. I think we're already at like 3,510 or thereabouts. But yeah, as I said, thank you all so much for watching. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Well, it won't be for another episode of the F1 1980s Career Mode, but I'm sure, we'll find another series to fill its space.